I'm Scott Rasmussen. I'm the Director of Democracy Initiatives at Interfaith America. So I started a year ago, just after the 4th of July in 2024, and I was interested in working in kind of the bridge building space here in the United States, helping people overcome polarization, but from a lens of faith. My faith is really important to me and how I show up in everyday life, and I appreciated an organization that takes faith seriously as the way people want to show up, how they act and live out their values. And being a part of that here at Interfaith America has been a real privilege. What we wanted to do was build a cohort of people who, if you looked at it, you might be surprised to see, this Muslim individual from this political background in a conversation with this Baha'i individual from this political background. The idea being that they all share the same value, that the vote is sacred, that participation is important, and we need to protect that right for everybody.
My name is Darcy Hirsch, and I am the Senior Director of Government Relations and Advocacy at National Council of Jewish Women.
So my name is Makram Elamine. I am the Imam here of Masjid An-Nur, and also I serve as the CEO and Executive Director of El Ma'un.
My name is Jennifer Thomas, and I'm the Co-Executive Director of Mormon Women for Ethical Government.
My name is PJ Andrews. I am the Director of Public Discourse for the U.S. Baha'i Office of Public Affairs.
I'm Sunitha Vishwanath. I'm co-founder and executive director of Hindus for Human Rights.
And so selecting those individuals was looking at how do we kind of paint a picture of, or maybe a better way to say this, to reflect America to itself. America is a diverse country with people from all over and lots of different religions, and so we wanted to have that reflected in the program.
In 2017, Mormon Women for Ethical Government was born in response to sort of some issues around particular immigration that women of my faith had concern with, and I got pulled quickly into leadership and was in the position to help sort of launch it as the founders wanted to step away and turn it into sort of a powerful, impactful organization.
I'm a philosophical, moral, political Hindu. So for me, it doesn't matter if I go to temple or not. What's more important is how I live on this planet.
So, I start with Masjid An-Nur. Masjid An-Nur is the foundation, is our Muslim community. I've been I've grown up in this community. When my father was also an imam, a leader who transitioned from Chicago to Minneapolis, brought his family with him to lead the Muslim community.
Years later, when I became a Baha'i, I was raised in a Baha'i family, but I didn't really embrace the faith. And in the Baha'i teachings, it's really not something you're born into per se. It's something that really, your relationship with God, your relationship with the Baha'i faith, with the messenger that brought the Baha'i faith, Baha'u'llah, is really your own.
But I really come from a place where I was working in the Jewish community to come together on a shared purpose. And the Jewish community is not monolithic. One thing that I've always prioritized is building bridges and making connections to identify what are our common values, even within one faith, before we even talk about multi-faith or interfaith.
America is a diverse country with people from all over and lots of different religions, and so we wanted to have that reflected in the program so that as people looked at the fellows, they could see themselves or someone like them represented there and see themselves as, you're right, I don't have to agree with my neighbor on all the things, but we can agree on the importance of free, fair, and open elections.
I really loved participating with the Vote is Sacred cohort. And whenever we got together, there were conversations and there were people in that group that said things that I disagreed with, that I maybe would have wanted to challenge. But it gave me the opportunity to kind of approach that with curiosity and listen. And I think that is what we do when we engage in the democratic process.
Yeah, so the Vote is Sacred kind of program started a couple of years ago as a way to think about the role of faith-based organizations and people of faith in how they think about voting, how they think about democracy. At the heart of it, for many religious organizations or worldviews, the dignity of the individual is kind of at the foundation and is most important. And that's the same in democracy, right? A democracy is based on everybody having a voice and being able to participate and contribute in building that democracy.
We are going to vote again in 2 years or less. We're going to vote again in 4 years. This is not a we're done project. We have to stay in communication with each other, and we have to grow from here. I want to be part of Vote is Sacred, because vote is sacred. And I want us to say, you know, I want us to ask ourselves and ask each other, why didn't we talk more about the impact of US imperialism around the world? Why was that not part of the conversation in our weekend together?
This fellowship made me know that there are people who have very different positions than I do, and they believe them like I believe my position. They made me know that. It wasn't a matter of me explaining more. It wasn't a matter of them defining a little bit more. No, I get it. I just don't agree.
The Vote is Sacred Fellowship brought faith leaders together at a critical time for our democracy, leading up to an election at a time where our nation is divided. To bring together faith leaders of different perspectives, different political parties, to build relationships.
Just one person coming to mind is Scott Rasmussen, who coordinated the fellowship, but you know, I thought he did just such a wonderful job of really trying to create time and space outside of the fellowship to just be with the fellows. And he and I got lunch, you know, just a couple blocks from this office building, and just had such a deep conversation. I think we just both left so energized. And then he told me why he was in DC. It was for another conference, and I was like, oh, I want to go to that conference. He was like, you should come. And so then the next day I'm like at the conference with Scott, meeting all these great new people who I've also started building really great relationships with. So I think, you know, the benefit of these, not only these spaces, is to help people advance their thinking and their work, but also create the relationships in the community that we want to mirror forth in the world.
I think the hope moving forward is to continue to build these kinds of cohorts of fellows and the relationships that they build. Not only, you know, we'll do future iterations of the fellowship itself, but what's more important and more interesting to me is the relationships the fellows build with each other that extend beyond the life of the fellowship.